Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the East Dubuque City Council meeting. It is Monday, November 17th. I ask that you please turn your cell phones off during the meeting and please be quiet during discussions. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. (25-1112) call to order.
Bergmeyer. Here. Dagenhart.
Here.
Fleur.
Here.
Meyer. Here. Roby. Taylor. Mayor Digman.
Here.
Attorney Hess. Here.
25-1113 staff reports. City manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. So I've got a few items up on the screen. I'll switch over to the other mic so I can see what I'm doing. So I'll kind of split a few comments on the budget between this and the budget portion later on. I know there have been questions. I kind of focused on a few of the items that had were budget issues that could be pulled together and weren't clearly identified by just looking at the budget itself. But on the emergency services building, all expenses to date have been paid from the TIF funds that were approved for that purpose that were allocated in the budget. We identified a double count in the architect's estimates in the budget. It's kind of like the bank error in your favor. So the bottom line is that we don't have to make additional draws at this time from TIF. And as the budget currently stands, we'll look at it in a minute, the bond money that we have in the bank should be sufficient to cover the remaining costs of the emergency services building. Indian Hills project, going full bore. They are into the subdivision now and making good headway. And in addition to the cost of construction, that grant will cover, we think, $132,000. That'll be reimbursement for funds we already paid for engineering and the application costs and all those things. So the overhead of the thing. So those were costs that we bore in previous budgets that'll come back, and that alone almost balances out our sewer budget. So, which was $143,000 in deficit at the beginning of the year. But we should now be in black on that by the end of this year. The Cincinnati water main services should begin to be hooked up the next day or two, and the line should be completed the next week or so. And paving will be dependent upon the weather. First Street parking lot, if you haven't been down there, it is lined and beautiful. And it's getting a lot of use right now with Cincinnati Avenue torn up. It turned out to be good timing. I'd love to say it was planning, but it turned out to be good timing to have that come online when it did. 6-month update on the budget shows stability and improvement in revenue and spending. We'll go through the details, but the revenue from all the cannabis tax, the sales tax, and video gaming are all running ahead of projections. And just a heads up on things coming in the future, not too distant future. The Public Works lost a dump truck, and Tony and I are working on just what the best vehicle would be to replace that one. We did budget $40,000 in April, anticipating that. In fact, we budgeted that the year before too, and we managed to eke out another year with the vehicles. Frankly, we weren't sure which vehicle was going to go first down there, but we'll be coming with a proposal to replace vehicles. This is the bond revenue. So we got that $4 million from the bond sale. That goes out the door as the expenses from the emergency services building come in. So rather than have that sit in basically an interest-free savings account, we purchased CDs. So we purchased a tranche of them, and Pam was able to talk Fidelity Bank into giving us the same interest rate on the shorter term ones as we got on the longer term ones. Most of these are very low interest, but we got 4%, which is pretty competitive right now. So we invested $750,000 for 3 months. That'll come up in January, and that should make $7,500 in interest. And then we invested 6 months for $1.5 million for 6 months at 4%, and that's $30,000 of interest. And then $1 million for 10 months, so that'll be up to next August, and that's $33,000. So overall, while the money is waiting to be spent on the emergency services building, we should make over $70,000 of interest on that money. And if anybody's got any questions, just jump in. But TIF, we've had questions, and I know Tim, I just talk off the top of my head at the last meeting, I think, in answering your question on the TIF funding. So I put in April 30th, the day before this fiscal year. This was the balance, $1.692 million of TIF. Our revenue during this fiscal year is $645,000. That's a total of $2.3 million. The projected expenditures we have right now total $1.2 million. And so it's anticipated that as of the things we've committed to now and the things we're able to anticipate coming forward, that we should close this year with nearly $1.2 million of TIF available. So the total TIF pot will have dropped by only $500,000 despite all the spending that all the projects we've been accomplishing this year. And now projects could come forward and cut into this, but that's where we're at. So we still have the ability to do some pretty good things. I'm trying to preserve now some of the TIF because, as we talked about the last meeting, we didn't get the grant for the stormwater project in the 3rd Street ditch and around. And so we're going to have to kind of do that in phases. And the TIF money is going to be important in being able to do that. So, for instance, because we had funds in other places, we shifted some of the spending. For instance, the Cincinnati water project, because we didn't get the funding for the project, the Hiawatha project this year that from the state. We also had ARPA money on that, so we put that ARPA money onto the Cincinnati water project, which saves us TIF funding there. And then we're also able to put to fund the Menominee Street project, the culvert and street project over there from the half-cent sales tax. So that moves another $66,000 off. So we're trying to kind of move some things off of TIF to be able to build up an amount in there that allows us to be able to take a swing at that ditch before we have a collapse there. So this is just a reminder of the expenditures the major expenditures we've had this year. So we'll accomplish Indian Hills, Oxford Street, the Menominee Culvert, the First Street parking lot, the Emergency Services building, second fire truck, a new police cruiser, stormwater management downtown, facade improvement on about a dozen places, sidewalk replacement, and sidewalk leveling. So this is the look at the costs for the Emergency Services building. So the stuff in green has already been paid out of TIF, and the blue is the soft costs, which we'll look at after this. So some of this low voltage wiring and signage. These ones up on top are these are estimates. These are already paid, and this is the bid that we approved for Tricon. This is a 3% contingency fund, and these are additional costs that have come in just from things we've run into as we've gone through the project. So these are the soft costs. This is the design and oversight by the architect, and so when you take these costs and reduce it by, these are the total soft costs, about $500,000. We've already paid, in addition to stuff on the other page, $323,000 of these costs, which leaves $174,000, which was the number on the previous page in blue down here. So you can see down here, all told, we are under $4 million of additional costs. This could change, but additional costs on the emergency services building. We had $4 million in the bond. It actually came in a little bit higher than that by about $4,000, I think. But then you add to that interest that we'll make on the bond, and we should have a pretty good shot at getting through the emergency services building, and then we've got the contingency, and hopefully we won't need all of that. So that's where we're at on the emergency services, and then later on we'll talk about the budget as a whole.
Thank you. The only thing I have this evening, just a reminder that all the yearly city licenses need to be in by next Monday, the 24th at 4:30 p.m. Alderperson report, Bergmeyer.
Nothing to report this week, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Dagenhart.
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Thank you. Fleur.
Nothing.
Thank you. Meyer.
Nothing tonight.
Thank you. City Attorney Hess.
Nothing to report, Mayor.
Thank you. Police Chief Kovacic.
I just wanted to update you guys. I received an email from Lieutenant Kirk Rebb with the Joe Davis County Sheriff's Office, and they were awarded the STEP grant, which runs from October 1st, 2025 to September 30th, 2026. And it focuses on speed enforcement, DUI enforcement, and cell phone enforcement, and seatbelt enforcement. So you may or may not see an influx of the Joe Davis County Sheriff's Office out and about in neighborhoods and in town and out on the highways. They primarily run those grants through around the major holidays, probably 5 to 8 to 7 days prior, and then through the holiday itself. So with some of the concerns and rumors around town that we are hitting heavy on the DUIs, it's just not us. It's also the Sheriff's Office, along with the Illinois State Police, will be in here participating in this grant. So we do not belong to the grant. We did not apply for the grant. So if there's any influx or uptake in DUI arrests that are from outside of this agency, that's what you'll see. Just want to let everybody know in case you guys get complaints or questions or calls on the street that, you know, the DUIs are up in full force. It will primarily not be us. It'll be the guys working the grants around the holidays. So that's about it. If you guys have any questions for me, otherwise that's all.
That isn't focused on East Dubuque.
No, other.
Doesn't focus on East Dubuque per se.
No, that's countywide, and they vary their hours. So obviously, seatbelt tickets they're gonna do probably primarily during the day. They will try to do some at night, but it's rather difficult to see on a dark county highway seatbelt violations. So they'll sit in towns that are well lit to see if they can see people on cell phone seatbelts. They'll run radar details or speed details through 24 hours in the day, and they'll run primarily the DUI details, you know, at night. They're not going to run the DUI details at 7 in the morning till noon in the afternoon. It's just not they like to spread the wealth and optimize their time with the grant money. So that's my report.
Any questions for Luke?
Also on the sheriff's website, they announce it
Yep.
too, and they talk about when they're going to be doing primary
I don't
enforcement?
believe
or
so.
just in general?
It's just they were awarded the grant. That Lieutenant Kirk Rabb posted it on their Facebook webpage. They'll give all the details there. Figured I'd just give you guys a heads up. That way you can be informed with some of the answers or questions that you get. That's all I have.
All right. You guys,
Thanks, Luke.
Public Works Director Van Ostren.
Yeah, I was looking to purchase 33 of those concrete railroad ties for the parking lot instead of using those big concrete blocks. If you guys are okay with that. Look a little better back there.
So the cost is pretty reasonable. It would replace those big blocks that were sitting back there. And yeah, I think both in terms of the damage those blocks would likely do to the parking lot, as well as just the look of the place. I think these look a lot better. They're
They're $20 a piece,
How many?
33.
so that'll cover the whole back.
That would cover Selco side and the whole back.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you. That was a good find. Fire Chief Heim.
Yes, we're going to do swearing in and pending for Francisco Santee. So Francisco will come up and Chief sign us.
Following oaths to be taken by all members. Do you so swear? The undersigned member of the East Dubuque Fire Company does hereby accept the foregoing constitution as the fundamental government of our country. Do you so swear that you will attend all meetings if within your power, obey your superior officers, and promote the interests of the company to the best of your ability? And if you do so swear, say I do. I do. Congratulations.
Chief, you want to remind us what he's signing?
That's the red book that every firefighter that makes their year probation signs, and it dates back to, I believe, 1904. So it gets, when we leave here, we'll put it back in the safe until we do the next one in January. So, there's a lot of history in that book going back, looking to see everybody that's here, and actually everybody in this room signed it, so it's kind of a nice thing.
That's awesome.
This certifies that firefighter Francisco Santee has duly been appointed to the position of firefighter for the City of East Dubuque Fire Department. Your dedication to your job, to the city and the residents you serve, the skill with which you have shown in your ability as a probationary firefighter makes you deserving of the title of firefighter. This certificate is awarded Monday, November 17th, 2025. Joseph M. Heim, Fire Chief, John J. Digman, Mayor. And she can do the honors of pinning his badge on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. You wait for compensation for the rest of us.
All right, moving on. 25-1114, speakers from the floor. We do have one this evening. Mr. Bill Prohaskis. Would you like to step up to the microphone there, grab a seat? Yep.
Yep.
is, I live on the 400 block of Montgomery Avenue. Or the ends of the street of 400 block of Montgomery Avenue are so bad right now, I can't get off that 400 block of Montgomery Avenue. It's my understanding that from the sidewalk to the street is all city property. And if I try to walk across the two ends of my 400 block to get into the either block on either end, I would probably fall on my butt. And if I did it, it would probably end up killing me sooner or later. And I guarantee you, I would sue the city. There's no reason in the world where both ends of that sidewalk cannot be fixed up enough that I can at least walk the full length of 400 block and maybe get down to the 500 block or the 600 block. But as it stands now, I can't. And I do have standing orders that if I do fall and kill myself or get hurt bad, my attorney will sue the city. There's no reason for those two parts of the block not to be sidewalks, not to be fixed. If anybody can tell me there is, I'm glad to hear it, but from everything I heard here tonight, you're all ahead on the money you're bringing in, but you don't give a shit, excuse my language, you don't care about the people that working and living under you. All you want to do is stay in business, and I don't know what you're doing. I guess it sounds like you're making money. We spend some of the money on the people that need it, people that are underneath you. If you can't do that, then I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, you're worthless.
This is the first that I've heard of it. Have you called down and talked with anybody?
I've talked to just about everybody. And I tried to get a hold of Jeff earlier, Bergmeyer and Ben both. I have their phone numbers. And it just sounds to me like, you don't care. You don't care
Can't
what
fix something
people
we don't
under
know
you
that's broke, sir.
doing and anything you can do to help them.
Okay. I appreciate you coming here and bringing this to our attention.
That's will. And after I get done, I'll have to call somebody to take me back up because obviously I don't drive. So, yeah.
Okay.
I'm stuck on 400 block of Montgomery Avenue 90% of the time.
Okay.
Like today, the only time I get off it is actually today I had to force somebody to bring me down. They said, you're going to go down there and you're going to cause trouble. I said, damn right I am. I have the right to cause trouble. I have the right to know why the city does not care about the people that live under them.
As I stated, this is the first that it's been brought to our attention here, so we will look into it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
If you want to wait this out, Bill, I can give you a ride home.
What's that?
If you want to wait this out, I'll give you a ride home.
Yeah, I don't know how long you're going to be, but yeah, that's good. And I don't have to try to call somebody else that I might not have some other time to
You
get
bet.
me here.
All right, moving on. 25-1115 consent agenda.
Still move.
Second it.
Roll call.
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart,
Aye.
Fleur,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Roby, Taylor.
Twenty-five 1116 discussion and possible action to approve quarterly budget report.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is the budget that was approved in April. And so this column, the first blue column, is what was approved in April. And then this third column in blue, the 6-month column, is the changes that I'm proposing to that budget based on the experience we have so far. And then this is the budget as updated. So I'm going to go through it, try to go through it reasonably fast, probably not 3 minutes, but we'll do the best we can. But stop me if you have a question, and I will try to answer what I can. So I'll just hit the highlights, and people can, bring anything else up that you'd like to. So this is the revenue side. You got to remember in these, if the number is in parentheses, it's good in this case because it's the revenue numbers show up in parentheses. So, and then the regular numbers are expenses, and so the expenses bring you down, and the revenue brings you up. So, in this case, we projected for sales tax $819,000. I'm projecting based on the first 6 months of the year that we'll take in $962,000 of sales tax revenue. And I think probably a good share of that is the new dispensaries, but also I think it shows sales tax revenue shows health in the business community overall. Cannabis taxes, we projected $528,000 for the year, and I believe it's going to be more like $556,000. And so those are the major changes in revenue. The use tax goes down, but that's a state formula. And it's offset by the revenue increases in other places. I was projecting under miscellaneous income $65,000 from the sale of the property up by the water tower. We don't have anybody that's interested in it at the moment, so I'm projecting that won't be sold, so that goes the other direction, and we'll still have that asset, but I'm not projecting it being sold this fiscal year. So health insurance coming in a little bit below what I projected. I always project a big increase in health insurance taxes, or health insurance. Two areas that we've been using a lot of because we're into a lot of things right now, and so legal services and engineering. A lot of this is engineering that's come in, for instance, designing projects, looking at what we can do, for instance, the 3rd Street ditch, things like that are future projects that we have to design and we have to look at the cost of in order to figure out how we're going to move forward. So I mentioned before that the Indian Hills, we had about $132,000 that we're going to get back that we spent in previous years. So some of these, if we would get a grant or a loan, would be reimbursed, but I am projecting that we would need more money in those funds for this fiscal year. Yeah, let's go down. And skipped all the way to the bottom. I don't want to let you off that easy. So, police side, these numbers in red, I left a number out on your copy in this column. So I put that in red because that's a change to the budget that we shared on Friday. Nothing here jumps right out. So some more in overtime. It was hard to project the overtime this year because of the changeover, the additional officers and the training that the officers had to go through. And we spent a fair amount of time talking about those items. The sale of the pod, we may be selling that sooner than later depending on how things work out with the building. But we think we can get good revenue from that. Not projecting any difference in that. And I would say fire, there's nothing that jumps out except they have their grants. So the grants up here offset the increase we're projecting for the purchase of the fire truck. So the $327,000 number was the actual purchase of the truck. And then equipping it was this additional money, which was covered primarily by the additional grants. So while there is an increase there in expenditures, it's offset. Nothing much in ambulance. That kind of works its way out at the end of the year. Video gaming tax revenue is running ahead of last year. For the first 6 months, it's about 3% above last year's revenue overall. I don't know what that means on a per machine basis because we also have additional machines coming online this year. But overall, that had been slipping some year to year or flat, and it's up a bit this year. Health insurance, again, down. That's through all these. So here you have, this year, as you recall, we broke down the budget by the operational budget and the capital budget, and then a grand total. So just for the operational budget, the police, the city hall, police, fire, and ambulance, and public works. The bottom line number was $149,000 to the good. As you know, we're still in deficit a little bit, but this should clear up a lot of it. $149,000, and the bottom line that we're projecting from this would be $200,000. So, and some of that, the interplay between these two is we are spending cash for capital items and not going into further debt for some of those items. This is one that jumps out on IMRF retirement account. You can see how that ran along, and we projected that holding pretty much steady from last year. It takes a huge bump from 94 to 131. That is primarily because of a couple of retirements that we had. If someone retires and their pay is more in the last few years before their retirement, then we may not have put enough away for them over the time that they worked for us. And so we both get a one-time hit for those people, and then they increase our rates going forward. So that comes from IMRF, our retirement folks, for that adjustment. Then, getting toward so here we've got the half-cent sales tax. We were projecting $275,000. I'm projecting now that's going to be $355,000. And that's where primarily that increase is where the funding would come from for the Menominee Street instead of taking it out of TIF. This is the $4 million for the bonding, and we have, as you know, the council approved $4.5 million. We took $4 million, 40,000. Hopefully the interest will exceed that because we're projecting 73,000 for the interest on this. But when you get to the accounting and how it gets divided out among accounts, I was playing it safe there. This number is one place that is kind of tricky because we've got all the money in for the bond, but we won't pay out everything for the station in this fiscal year. So all I could show for expenditures in this fiscal year are the expenditures that happen in this fiscal year because we're cash-based. So while it's going to be $4 million of total, we only show this amount for this fiscal year. Does that make sense? Everybody? Okay. And then TIF. The TIF we projected the big thing here is TIF we projected $700,000 for the station. We spent $150 of that in this fiscal year, and we're projecting that we won't have to spend more than that out of TIF for the emergency services building. Again, something could happen, but as things stand now, we shouldn't have to spend the remainder of that. That's one of the major items in here. We take the Cincinnati water, so y'all approve taking the Cincinnati water project completely out of TIF. But as I mentioned, I reduced that here because of the ARPA. We had the ARPA money available. And all this means that probably our engineering costs, because we're doing more projects, you get more costs. TIF 2, this is where it gets really fun because we split the cost. The major expenditure here is the Highway 35 water main. As you recall, that was paid for. 56% of it was TIF, 44% of it was reimbursed by Leibold Irrigation because they wanted it to go up to their headquarters building. And so in TIF, we show the city portion of the 56% shows up here in TIF, and the remainder will show up in water and be reimbursed by Leibold. So it doesn't hit the water account, it just is there. These are all the payments. If you're looking through and you want to know what we pay on all the different loans we have, it shows up here in Fund 45, debt service, and those are all labeled there. Going on to water. So here you've got revenue sources. Oxford, this is on the Oxford project, the state money comes in, the state money pays for the water in one account, and there's another account from the state that pays for the sewer. And then there's the stuff that's left for us to pay, which is the overhead and the paving and things like that. So on the water side, what they do is they give us a loan for the full amount, but they reduce it. They forgive 30% of the cost. So 30% shows up as a grant because we don't have to pay it back. And the remainder shows up as income or from debt. So that's the money for Oxford. This is the money that Leibold paid reimbursing us for the water main. And then I'm projecting, and some of the costs changed on those things. I'm also projecting that the water receipts are running ahead of projections. We projected 365,000, and it looks more like 410. This is good because we were in deficit in the sewer account and very close on the water account. You need to maintain a balance to be able to maintain your infrastructure in these things. And the balance that we have is not up to any standard. So I know this stuff's kind of complicated, but this, the other reason for the red, I had, this number was in this column. There was 818 in this column. That was without the ARPA portion. So I just adjusted that number. That's why I'm showing it up in red. This number changes from 1.6 to 994 primarily because Hiawatha and Montgomery are not funded, and it's only partial on the Cincinnati water. Everybody wants me to get through this really fast, so that's why nobody's asking any questions, right? So now in sewer, it's sort of the same thing. Here we have the, first off, the Hiawatha and Oxford again, or Hiawatha and Family Beer lift stations are the other part of the Hiawatha project that didn't get funding this year from the state. So we backed that out. And then Oxford, the other side of that, again, you get a loan forgiveness, and all that shows up here. Indian Hills is a straight grant, and so we project the revenue for that. Charges, for sewer charges, we're projecting a little more, about 30,000 more in sewer revenue than projected. But also, when we get the money, the money that comes from the sewer grant will be greater than we spend this year on the sewer grant. So that 132,000 plus where we hope to come out ahead on this should about have us coming out of the red in the sewer account, which is kind of a big deal for us. We've been digging a lot. So again, that's why you get the numbers here, because the lift stations aren't funded this year. Garbage, nothing much there. And this is, again, this is the bottom line for the overall budget. And the reason that there's, you have essentially a negative in the capital is because we spend money in this budget on capital items from cash, the fire trucks, things like that. And so that takes that down. So the money that's coming in the operations budget that we spend on capital items moves between those two. Overall, as we talked about before, TIF goes down about $500,000. So that shows up in here too. But we go from, we end at about 440,000 better than we were, which I would like to say is, it's not making a lot of money because we were $1.5 million in debt in the red a little over a year ago. And now we are essentially breaking even and paying cash for a number of items and getting ourselves into a lot of projects that should have been done years ago. But there we are. The number improves by 700,000, but part of that too is, remember that money in the bonding that wasn't spent this year. So that makes up a lot of that difference. And then
Sure, it's 440 and not 907?
yeah, because I changed those numbers. I corrected it.
No, like on our sheet, it says 907.
Yeah, but I changed those numbers that were in red,
Gotcha.
come through,
Okay,
and they changed those.
okay.
Okay, so any questions? Does it make sense? It probably doesn't make sense. Okay, so if we could have a vote on these changes to the budget, that would be great.
All right, so we need a motion to approve the amendments to the quarterly budget report.
Second.
Roll call?
Dagenhart.
Aye.
Fleur. Aye. Meyer. Aye. Bergmeyer.
Aye.
All right. Twenty-five 1117, discussion and possible action to approve a resolution authorizing execution for sale of surplus property.
So this is two items. One, the police, one of the police Ford Explorers, which we, as you know, we replaced just last month, and the new vehicle is in service. So now we can sell the old one, which is not worth very much. And the other is the police station building out back. Not sure when we're going to be able to move the police department out of that facility, but we should be able to get a pretty good price selling that, and we'll do it as soon as we can because both will get the revenue and it'll open up this space for parking and things.
Any questions or discussion? If not, need a motion? Have a motion, need a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Fleur.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Bergmeyer.
Aye.
Dagenhart.
Aye.
25-1118, discussion and possible action to approve the East Dubuque United Memorial Walk on Saturday, November 29th, 2025.
So, just very happy to have the walk and all the Christmas festivities back in the city.
Yes, 100% agree. With that, we need a motion to.
Make a motion.
Roll call?
Meyer,
Aye.
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart, Fleur,
Aye.
Twenty-five 1119, discussion and possible action to approve contract for Joe Davies County Animal Control Services.
So, basically, the same contract we've had for the last couple of years for animal control needs to be renewed.
Roll call?
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart,
Aye.
Fleur,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Twenty-five 1120, discussion and possible action to approve Highway 35 Water Main Extension Change Order Number 3 in the decreased amount of $12,751.32 from Temperley Excavating in the city of East Dubuque.
So, let's just go into actual costs. So, we save about the 13,000 almost here, and then we give it back on the next one.
Any questions or discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right.
Second.
Roll call?
Dagenhart,
Aye.
Fleur,
Aye.
Meyer, Bergmeyer,
Aye.
25-1121, discussion of possible action to approve Highway 35 Water Main Extension final payment in the amount of $40,078.45 for Temperley Excavating.
Again, final payment, the project's completed, and well done.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Fleur,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart,
Aye.
25-1122, discussion and possible action to approve Emergency Services Building Request Payment Number 1 in the amount of $338,662.25 for Tricon General Construction.
So, we're now getting onto a pattern of their requests for payment. This is actually two requests because one kind of got through the process pretty slow, and but this is just the items that these will come in. They'll go to Origin, be approved over there, and then come this way.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Roll call?
Meyer,
Aye.
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart,
Aye.
Fleur,
Aye.
25-1123, executive session for personnel matters. We need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Roll call?
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart,
Aye.
Fleur,
Aye.
Meyer.
All right, we will go into executive session.
See you, Mikey.
Let's hope.
First place Chicago Bears is November.
25-1124, discussion and possible actions on matters discussed in executive session. I need a motion to approve the payment of budgeted amount of bonus to the city manager as discussed in executive session. Again, these are budgeted funds that were approved at the April 28th meeting.
So moved, Mayor.
Roll call.
Fleur,
Aye.
Meyer. Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart.
Aye.
25-1125, motion to adjourn.
Still move.
Roll call.
Meyer. Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart. Fleur.
We are adjourned. Turn that off.
Time flies when you're having fun.